Bro, stop what you are doing right now because I need you to hear this. There's a moment in this video, and I am not going to tell you when it hits, where a number gets dropped in a courtroom that made everyone in that room go silent. Not dramatic silence, not movie silence, real silence. The kind where you can hear people processing what they just heard in real time. And when I tell you what that number is, you are going to understand exactly why. But before we get there, we need to build this properly, because if I just hit you with it right now, you will not fully appreciate how absolutely cooked this man is. So stay with me. We are going in from the top, and by the time we get to that courtroom moment, I promise you it will land 10 times harder. Let's go. Okay, so real quick for anyone who needs to be caught up. D4vd, real name David Anthony Burke, is a 21-year-old singer. Blew up online, bedroom pop, millions of streams, teenage fan base, the whole thing. His biggest song was called Romantic Homicide. No cap, that title is going to follow him for the rest of his life. 14-year-old Celeste Hernandez went missing in April 2024. Her body was later found in the trunk of D4vd's abandoned Tesla in the Hollywood Hills in September 2025. He canceled his tour, disappeared from public view, and for 7 months, the LAPD built their case while the internet went absolutely feral trying to piece it all together. 2 days before this video, he was arrested. Robbery Homicide Division, held without bail. No charges announced at the time of arrest, just taken in and held. And then today happened. So the charges come out, and bro, I need you to understand what they actually charged him with, because this is not a small list. First up, first-degree murder with special circumstances. Now here's where it gets crazy, because special circumstances is not just a legal add-on phrase. Special circumstances in California means the prosecution is telling the court that this was not just a murder. It was a murder that falls into one of the most serious categories the law recognizes. We are talking lying in wait, committing the crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness to prevent them from talking. And the maximum sentence for first-degree murder with special circumstances is life without the possibility of parole, or the death penalty. Wait for it though, because that is not all. On top of the murder charge, he is also facing continuous sexual acts with a minor under 14, lewd and lascivious acts with a minor under 14, and mutilation of human remains. Bro, that is the full picture right there. That is the complete charge sheet, and every single one of those charges on its own is serious. Together, this man is cooked in a way that I do not have the vocabulary to properly describe. Now here's the detail that ties the motive together, because this is the part that shifts everything. Prosecutors are alleging that Celeste threatened to expose their relationship. She was going to go public, and according to the criminal complaint, D4vd allegedly killed her to protect his career.
David's defense attorney said, "Let us be clear. The actual evidence in this case will show that David did not murder Celeste, and he is not the cause of her death." That means something to me. David did not murder Celeste. He was not the cause of her death. That sounds like, to me, speculation allegedly, that they're going to say that someone else killed her and he was just there. I think they're going to blame this on someone else. That is such an odd statement to me, because I feel like if they thought he was completely innocent, they would just say that the evidence is going to point that he is innocent. But no, it says that David did not murder her and was not the cause of her death. I'm calling it right here, right now, that whenever this continues, his defense attorney is going to blame someone else and say that it wasn't David's idea or David was not the person at hand.
No cap, that motive makes complete sense when you look at the timeline. His career was blowing up. He had a real moment happening. Streams going up, fan base growing, label attention, the whole trajectory. And sitting right in the middle of all of that was a relationship with a child that could have ended everything the moment it came to light. Prosecutors are saying that is exactly why she is gone. And just to fill in the timeline fully, because this is the first time any of this has been officially confirmed publicly, Celeste was allegedly subjected to continuous abuse from September 2023 to September 2024. She was reported missing by her family in 2024 when she was 13, and prosecutors believe she was killed on or around April 23, 2025 with a sharp object while she was on her way to D4vd's house in the Hollywood Hills. That is the first time a cause of death has been publicly confirmed in this entire case. 7 months of silence on that detail, and now we have it. So obviously, D4vd's team enters a not guilty plea. And look, nobody should be shocked by that. That is standard procedure. That is what every defense attorney on earth tells their client to do, regardless of the evidence. You do not walk into your first court appearance and start confessing. That is not how any of this works. What is interesting is what his defense team said after the plea. They pushed for a preliminary hearing at the earliest possible date, April 23rd specifically. They want to move fast. They want to see the evidence and get in front of a judge as quickly as possible. Now, some people are reading that as confidence, like maybe they think they have something. And look, I get why people might see it that way, but here is my read on it. When you are facing first-degree murder with special circumstances and a death penalty possibility, you want to control the pace. You want to start setting the narrative early. Sitting back and waiting is the worst thing you can do when the entire internet has already made up its mind. So they push for speed. They ask for discovery. They want to see what the prosecution has. And bro, here is where it gets crazy. The prosecution responds to the defense's discovery request, and they say, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this is essentially what came out in that courtroom: 40 terabytes. 40 terabytes of evidence. Stay with me because I need you to understand what that actually means. For context, 40 terabytes is roughly the equivalent of around 8 million photos, or somewhere in the region of 20,000 hours of video footage. That is not a case file. That is an archive. That is 7 months of the LAPD's robbery homicide division pulling every single piece of digital data they could find and compiling it into something that is essentially impossible to review quickly.
Major breaking news. David has officially been charged with first-degree murder in the death of Celeste, and a possible motive has been revealed. There was just a press conference where there was a lot of information. Here's everything you need to know. The first thing he stated was the charges, which was first-degree murder with special circumstances. Those circumstances being lying in wait, murdering a witness to an investigation, and committing this crime for financial gain. And he said there's additional charges of continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14, and mutilating a corpse. They also revealed a motive for why David did this. They said on the night of April 23rd, 2025, Celeste went to David's house and threatened his music career, and then she was never seen alive again. And yes, all of these charges are in relation to Celeste, murdering a witness to an investigation, doing it for financial gain, and even the continuous sexual acts are all against Celeste. So David's facing a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or possibly death. There will be a trial and a lot of information coming out very soon, but this is one step closer to finally getting justice for Celeste. Rest in peace to Celeste. Let me know what you guys think about this, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
And that is exactly the problem for D4vd's team right now. They asked for a fast preliminary hearing, April 23rd, 10 days away at the time of the hearing, and the prosecution essentially said, fine, we are happy to show you what we have, but just so you know, you are asking us to hand over 40 terabytes of material in 10 days, which is physically not going to happen given the volume. The grand jury transcripts alone require a separate court order to release. That is a whole additional legal process on top of everything else. So the defense wanted to move fast, and the prosecution essentially revealed that moving fast is actually going to work against them, because the more they rush, the the less time they have to actually understand the scale of what they are up against. 40 terabytes from a 7-month investigation into one person. The defense attorney's face when that number was dropped reportedly said everything. Here's where I land on all of this. The charges alone tell you how confident the prosecution is. You do not bring first-degree murder with special circumstances and a death penalty possibility to a DA's office unless you believe you can prove it. That is not a bluff charge. That is a statement. That is the prosecution saying, we have done the work, we have built the case, and we are ready to take this all the way. The 40 terabytes backs that up. That is not a team that scraped together just enough to make an arrest. That is a team that spent 7 months building something they believe is airtight from every angle. And then there is the motive, because motive is the thing that makes juries understand. Evidence tells you what happened. Motive tells you why. And when a prosecutor can stand in front of 12 people and say, this man was in an illegal relationship with a child, she threatened to expose it, and he killed her to protect his career, that is a story. That is something a jury can follow and understand and ultimately convict on. D4vd's team has a mountain in front of them, a 40 terabyte mountain with a death penalty sign at the top. April 23rd is the preliminary hearing date, and no cap, that is also the date prosecutors believe Celeste was killed. 1 year apart, almost to the day. We will keep you updated on everything as this develops. Rest in peace, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Justice is coming.